Thank you very much, Avril. A cordial Gair. Delegates, this is a vital Ard Fheis in the history of our party. The debate we are holding this weekend will shape the platform on which we will stand before the public at the next election. As a party, we are actively engaging with our members on a range of issues, and I am very grateful for the ongoing input of members into policy formulation. At the heart of our platform will be a commitment to an Ireland for all. Unlike Fine Gael and Sinn Féin, we do not seek to divide people into competing groups. We are not in the business of writing off sections of society or of prioritising the needs of a few. Our vision of republicanism is inclusive and is about bringing people together rather than dividing them. We in Fianna Fáil welcome, delegates, the recent improvement in the economy. As a country, it has been a very dark period in our economic history, and as we all know, it has taken an exceptionally heavy toll on our people. But as a party, we can justifiably say that in the worst of times, we did make the hard choices and did what had to be done. And delegates, the National Recovery Plan published by the late Brian Lenihan in 2010 did put Ireland on a long and difficult road, but a road that is leading to recovery, and we shouldn't be afraid to say that. Over two-thirds of the necessary budget adjustment to bring Ireland's deficit to within EU rules was introduced by Fianna Fáil, despite the trenchant opposition at the time, as you know, by Fine Gael and Labour. Over the past 4 years, the current government has introduced a succession of regressive budgets. This is not a political charge, it is a fact. As the ESRI and others have confirmed, Fine Gael Labour budgets fell hardest on low and middle-income families. With each passing month, this government is creating deeper and deeper divisions in society. Divisions between urban and rural, divisions between the well-off and those struggling to make ends meet, and divisions between those on the inside track and those who are not. The government has had a glorious opportunity. In many respects, it has had the wind at its back. The environment of incredibly low international interest rates, the remarkably favourable foreign exchange rate for exporters, the strength of the US and UK economies with whom we have very strong trading relationships, the quantitative easing of central banks worldwide, and indeed the drop in oil prices. But despite all the government spin, the truth is, delegates, that most ordinary people are not feeling a recovery. They want the recovery to be real and meaningful, but they won't really believe it until it makes their life a little easier. I want to thank James Lawless for raising the issue of standard variable mortgage rates. It is indeed our duty as a party to lead public debate on the issues that really matter to people. For many families, the monthly mortgage repayment puts a massive hole in their income. The interest rates being charged by banks in Ireland on 300,000 standard variable mortgages is a scandal and a rip-off, delegates, and it must be brought to an end. Fianna Fáil has led the way on this issue by holding the government, the central bank and the banks themselves to account. I have yet to hear a logical explanation as to why the variable mortgage rates charged in Ireland are more than double the average rate charged elsewhere in the euro area. This massive difference, delegates, is in many cases costing families hundreds of euro every single month. And over the lifetime of a mortgage, Irish families are paying tens of thousands of euro extra in interest. A number of the banks have marginally reduced their rate for new customers, but disgracefully have left existing customers on a ridiculous rate of 4.5%. The truth is that until pressed into a corner by Fianna Fáil on this issue, there wasn't a squeak from the government about it. And following sustained pressure, AIB last Wednesday strongly signalled that a rate cut is on the way. We want to see all the banks introduce substantial variable rate cuts for all their customers. Fianna Fáil will stand up for the rights of mortgage holders and others, like small and medium enterprises in Ireland, who also are paying way over the odds for loans, and we will continue to fight, delegates, for fairness for variable rate mortgage customers throughout Ireland. Delegates, our party has been to the fore in bringing forward solutions to the mortgage arrears crisis. In 2011, we were the first to produce legislation which would have given the final power to restructure a mortgage to an independent body. But of course, the government ignored this advice from us and many others. Instead, the government have diluted the rights of mortgage holders, and they have given more and more power to the banks over that time. It is a fact the government has made it easier for banks to repossess homes. The balance of power in the insolvency service is firmly stacked in favour of the banks. The government say they want to protect the family home, but their actions say something else. The central bank's own figures show the banks are expecting to take back 30,000 homes. The truth is that thousands of family homes will be lost if something doesn't change. We all know that circuit courts around the country are inundated with cases coming before them. Delegates, Fianna Fáil believes in family home ownership. We support family home ownership. We believe that a family making an honest and reasonable effort to pay their mortgage should not have their home taken from them by the bank. And just 2 months ago, we proposed a bill that would have reformed the personal insolvency service to make it fit for purpose. Every government TD came in and spoke in favour of the bill and then voted against it. This is new politics, Fine Gael and Labour style. But now at the 11th hour, the government appear to have woken up to the crisis that surrounds them, and there is talk of a package of measures to deal with the mortgage crisis. But where is it? Plenty of spin, plenty of leaks, but still no details. The truth is, families struggling with debt are left waiting while the government is wrangling and arguing with itself over changes to bankruptcy law. Fianna Fáil supports the reduction in the bankruptcy discharge period to 1 year, but ordinary families in mortgage arrears should not have to become bankrupt to get a sustainable solution put in place for their mortgage. We will continue to bring forward proposals for helping people struggling with their mortgage, and we will also force the government to extend statutory rights to about 20,000 mortgage holders who have had their mortgage sold from under their feet to US private equity funds. Delegates, last year on your behalf, I set out a number of guiding principles in relation to the changes we wish to see in our taxation system, including simplifying the income tax code. In an emergency situation, as we all know, the universal social charge was introduced in Budget 2011. Replacing the old income levy and health levy. I fully appreciate the pain that the universal social charge represents for working families and the toll it takes on pay packets. The economy is recovering and people deserve a dividend from that recovery. And I commit to this, Ard Fheis delegates, that Fianna Fáil in government will reduce the burden of the universal social charge for all income taxpayers in this country. And delegates, in the longer term, and I acknowledge that it will take a number of years and a strong economy to achieve this, but as soon as the resources allow, it is the ambition of this party to remove the USC from the income tax code altogether. Delegates, this government has hammered savers at every opportunity, whether it be someone putting money aside through their pension, or saving in a bank or their local credit union. This government has taken a staggering €2.2 billion out of the private pension savings of ordinary people in this country. This will result in hundreds of thousands of people having reduced pension benefits for the rest of their life. When this government came to office, dirt tax on the interest earned on your savings was 27%. Today it stands at a whopping 41%. with an additional 4% PRSI in some cases. And this dramatic increase in dirt has come as a double whammy. As we all know, interest rates are so low on savings and deposits at the present time. So on the one hand, the government is saying they want people to invest in a pension and to save for their future. But when people do that, they then get crucified by the same government. How often have we heard people say, I would be better off if I had nothing? Delegates, we believe it is important to reward savers. We are determined to make progress on this issue, and we will start by exempting from dirt for the first time the first €200 of interest earned. Delegates, this will benefit all savers, but will be of particularly benefit to small savers. Under pressure from Fianna Fáil, the Government have been forced to carry out a review of the massive increase that is imminent in respect of the local property tax. If the Government allows a revaluation of properties to take place next year, many households, especially in the major urban areas, will be looking at increases in their local property tax bill of up to €270 a year. We believe this revaluation should not take place. Fianna Fáil will force their hand on this by introducing legislation in the Dáil to scrap this unfair revaluation, and delegates Fine Gael, backbenchers who have been crying crocodile tears over this issue, will soon have to put up or shut up on the issue. Fianna Fáil has always been the party of the small business owner and the self-employed. This week in the Dáil, our economic team introduced on your behalf a number of policy initiatives to help the self-employed and the small business sector. Delegates, we will end the discrimination against the self-employed in our tax system, and we will extend the equivalent of a PAYE tax credit to the self-employed on a phased basis. We will achieve this over a 3-year period by introducing an earned income tax credit equal in value to the PAYE credit of €1,650 per annum. It is not acceptable, delegates, that when a self-employed person becomes sick or their business collapses, the state turns its back on them. We believe this is wrong. People who take a risk and run their own business deserve a safety net too. That is why the initiative announced by our social protection spokesperson Willie O'Dea to introduce a voluntary PRSI scheme for the self-employed deserves the full support of this Ard Fheis. Delegates, as our job spokesperson Dara Calleary always says, we want to create an environment where Ireland is the destination of choice for start-up enterprises. To achieve that, we simply must reform our capital gains tax system. Currently, the state makes almost no distinction between genuine risk-takers who set up a new business and take on all the risks that come with that, and passive investments in property-based schemes. The rate of capital gains tax has been rising steadily in recent times, but the yield has been falling year after year. We want to cut capital gains tax from 33% to 15% for new business start-ups subject to certain limits. This would target the measure at SMEs creating local jobs and would help to underpin an environment where people with new ideas are encouraged to take the risk of starting their own business in this country. Delegates, it has almost gone unnoticed, but the level at which an individual has to pay capital acquisitions tax on a gift or inheritance from a parent to a child has been reduced from well over €500,000 6 years ago to €225,000 in recent years, a fall of 60%. The government also increased the rate of CGT to 33% at the same time. Fianna Fáil believes that parents should be able to leave a reasonable inheritance for children without triggering a massive tax bill. The reality is that if the thresholds do not change, many people who are far from wealthy will end up having to sell a property they inherit in order to be able to meet the capital acquisitions tax bill. We will increase the threshold to €300,000 and also increase the thresholds for inheritances from one sibling to another, delegates. Delegates, I firmly believe that Fianna Fáil is the only party that has genuinely learned the lessons of the economic crisis. We have owned up to our mistakes. Others have not and are set to repeat them. The future for Fianna Fáil is to connect with voters through the issues that really affect them. If we are given the opportunity again, we will reward enterprise. We will support risk-takers. We will use a sustainable economy to build a better society. We will support families in their homes. We will bridge the divisions that this government is creating. And above all else, we will put fairness and decency at the heart of everything we do. Thank you very much, delegates.